What's going on, everybody? Maxifer Maxwell here. So this thought appeared to me just today, and this was like a video idea I was intending to get out there about a week ago, but I've been really wanting to hone in why this is important, because saying words without any power behind them, it's just words. There's no meaning, there's no message. So really, what I want to talk about is how inspiration destroys regret. Because when you are inspired by something, and that doesn't matter what it is, it can be your purpose, it can be from somebody else, it can be from a hobby that you enjoy, it can just be by this world and this universe that God has created. Everything that you see, the clouds, the grass, the creativity that's shown in front of us with all of these cars that man manufactured, anything. If you are inspired by anything, you will not feel bad about everything. Because the thing that people get twisted with, it's the best word I can think of as I'm saying this, is to think I can only be inspired by my purpose. If I don't know what my purpose is, there's no point in living. You being here is not by accident. I know people say that, it's not by accident, not by accident. It really isn't by accident. Nobody's just born to die. People are born with specifics in mind. They are here because God has implanted a seed of inspiration in you for a specific purpose. Whether that purpose is engineering, whether that purpose is creativity, the arts, whether that purpose is becoming a lawyer. It doesn't happen right away, but there are seeds planted of what makes a person want to be inspired by that. It could be somebody watching Law and Order on TV. They're inspired to become a lawyer from that. It could be inspired by what people, that's what I was going to say. From who you grow up with. So say if your family are lawyers, or if your family is in construction, if your family has a history of being creative, then it's easy to be inspired and follow in those footsteps. That's the main trap, really, for people. They're only inspired if they know exactly what their purpose is. If you wait to be inspired, then you'll just be wasting your life. You have to experience life. Just be present. You won't find out what your purpose is by just wishing that it just comes to you. You have to live out your life. You have to live out making mistakes. You have to live out, being friends with people, then realizing they weren't your true friends, and then people come and go. You have to live out all the emotions that you experience, good and bad. You have to not hide from anything. You have to experience this life. You have to live in this world in order to be transformed and inspired. Because that was a huge flaw that I experienced. Not flaw, what am I talking about? That is a huge, better word, I know, better word. That was a huge, struggle for me in the past, was questioning all the time about what my purpose was, because I knew, quick, backstory, I knew I loved animation, but I soon realized I can't animate. I love the medium. I love the visual components. I love how everything comes together, but I can't actually animate. However, I knew that I loved piecing clips together. I loved how, when you think of some animation, you think of, what is it? What is it? You think of, I don't know, why am I blanking out at this? See, this is just me overthinking a little bit. But you think of all the pieces coming together, and you think of, you know, one frame to the next, and that made me discover my love of editing. And it wasn't really, it was somewhat from animation, but it was more from, you know, social media at the time. That's back when social media was actually like inspiring at the time. Now it's a bunch of crap, in all honesty. But what is it? But yeah, it's, you have to just experience life, and to not think that your life has to have been planned out from the beginning. Yourself, that is, because God has already planned out your entire life from beginning to end. It is not up to you that you should know how your life pans out. You just have to experience it, and you will get closer to God, and He will lead you to what you're supposed to be doing. And that thing that you're supposed to be doing, you will grow in appreciating it. What you're supposed to be doing, what God wants you to be doing, it's not going to be dreadful. You will find fulfillment in whatever purpose that He has for you. And this also just, I mean, this whole video idea really stemmed from, I was thinking a lot today about how I'm still in the process of getting closer to God, because I tend, if there's somebody that I know, you know, Christian friend, that is more in tuned with the, you know, relationship with Him, I tend to idolize that person, because I see that person as they've progressed much more in getting closer to God than I have, so, you know, I can use them as a resource. But really, it's about what's God telling you specifically. Because, you know, this friend that I know, it made me think about how he's always told me, oh my gosh, he's always told me of, Maxwell, you're gonna, you know, have a relationship, you know, God's gonna send you somebody, or somebody heavily loves you. And it made me think about, I noticed in the past I would just tend to attach on that too quickly. And then whenever I see somebody, if I would sense some sort of attraction, I would think, oh man, this is what God wants. This is from God, I think. But then when I'd speak directly to Him, I realized, no, it's not. It's you know, it's fake. You know, it's not the right person. It's not in His will. And God, man, before making this video, it got me more existential too, because and I knew that this was from the devil, of, I got, you know, what's the purpose of everything? What's the whole point of relationships? You know, how do I, you know, make sure I'm selfless in the relationship? You know, like, obviously I know what the purpose of relationship is to build a family, and on a biblical level, build a family, and to make and to grow into becoming the best version of ourselves with that family that we have kids with. And But then I started to think, what else is there to it? And so then I started just thinking about, what about what's the whole idea behind purpose? Like, I know God, has a whole purpose behind everything. But what's, it got me thinking, it got me overthinking a lot, just trying to, this was me trying to think exactly like him, when in reality we can't think exactly like him. And that thought really was the whole purpose behind this video, is you have to at least do something. Whether or not we don't understand what God is doing, we have to do something. Because if we don't do something, then we're going to get caught up in overthinking, and then we're actually going to feel regretful that we actually didn't do something, and then we're going to get more existential. But that existentialism is only there because we're not doing anything with our lives. We're just sitting around and we're just waiting for things to change. We're just waiting to understand everything, understand why we think about certain things, when God is just calling us to take action, just in general. Don't think about it too much, because we will never understand why God thinks the way he does. You just have to do it, and then you will understand. And realizing that was just such a freeing feeling, because it's not up to me, it's not up to any of us to understand why God thinks the way he does, or what led him to value creativity, or what led him to create the concept of relationships and all that. The more you think too in depth like that, and the more you start to introspect so much to the point where it becomes overthinking, then you're wasting your time at that point. You're not living life that God actually has for you. And that regret will get you closer to Satan, really, because then you'll question your purpose, you'll question what the whole point of life is, and then you'll indulge in bad habits that get you deeper down this hole of despair, when really doesn't matter what you do. You just have to do something, and then you will understand. You are not God. You won't understand every single thing, but you will understand, because he will give you that gift of understanding the more you live out this life that he has given you. With all that being said, that's basically it. Man, it's just really freeing to clarify everything, because it's easy to question relationships, and it's easy to question, is somebody the right fit for me? How do I know if things are worth it and all that? It's easy to think about all these things, but you just have to keep going, no matter how much you don't understand. You have to keep living, and then you won't understand. You don't have to think that you have to know everything. You don't have to have this whole timeline set for your life and understand all of it, because you can only live in this moment. Those people who tell you should think that way of, you should have done this sooner, you should have done that sooner, they are not living life. They are secretly miserable. That's it. Take care. Max Everett Maxwell signing out.